We have come an extraordinarily long way from essentially being born into a new world with nothing but your memories of past trauma, and for some reason, an extraordinary amount of magic. Let's not forget that bit. But Rudy has done relatively well for himself. He's managed to stay alive, at least, which is, in like the time period that this is set in, quite a big deal. But not only was the journey home very strenuous, very hard, full of upset and, in some cases, demise, it seems the meeting back with the family will be the hardest. Paul is, a little upset. But in times like these, tensions are going to be high, so let's see some more. Is this directly after the blast? Yeah, why else would it be just an open air? So it seems like everyone's transported to random locations, unless they're in such a close proximity. Oh, that was a nice pan. That they get pulled across together. It's good that the entire person gets pulled across and not just like you're scattered around because everything gets teleported randomly. But at least, you know, Norn, was that the kid's name? Is in relatively safe hands, because since Paul is quite a good swordsman. And getting to see his journey back to... Was that where it hit? Anything of some sort of life got ripped up. It shows his long and arduous quest to pull everyone back together. And he's probably nearing limits based on his outward appearance. But to that kid, he would be amazing in her eyes, really. Managed to keep it together for this long. How many people just will never be recovered or found? I was about to say, is that our little gambler? Yeah, who's a bit preoccupied being locked away for a little bit. He has some interesting news. At what point? At what point would Paul start to lose hope? Well, quite a few drinks. I mean, he may be skilled for a kid, but he's still a kid. Just cut him off. Continue with your point. Having a childhood, maybe. Yeah, because what is he now feeling? Inferior to his 11-year-old. He's far too argumentative. And so one qualified to talk about the place. Yeah, it's not some walk in the park. Rather than insulting him, maybe get to the point. And now getting a bit of an understanding of what he's been through. Yep. And if the place was as dangerous as Geese is pointing out. Because he got to see you and be home. Take a look in the mirror. But he always jumping to the worst expectations of every sentence. He's not looking to come to an understanding or anything right now. And after that journey, what did he get for it? Even if they fix the little argument they had, the relationship with his sister is going to be a far more difficult one to properly overcome. Hoping that he'd have a harder time. Something to prove for his journey away. Hopefully Geese did the right thing there and actually managed to get through to him. It's been a very long year. Was this the hoped... Wow. It seems Geese's words there really got through to him. But the many possible outcomes that could have been. While he's looking in a puddle, it's not going to be the best. They put a lot of effort into that bread. You might need to convince Eris not to attack. Ha! She knows who you are. She's asking. Yeah. After picking her up by the scruff of the neck, pull her away. But after the what happened yesterday, trying to start a conversation like he did then, in a slightly facetious way. A lot less prying eyes. He's abrupt to the point, but ever so slightly, his reputation increasing. I wonder if Rudy's even acknowledged that Paul has tried, had a bit of a shave, cleaned himself up a little. Not an completely easy route, but could be worse. He doesn't really have a barometer to say easy or hard. He managed to pull through. Is the bartender gonna provide a little bit of help? Finish off the task he set out to do. See it for their own eyes, yep. Search for the mother and Lilia. There's not much point just sitting still now that he knows the true weight of the situation. Stepping in when it's needed. He has been avoiding his eyes. truly pained. Are we getting true flashback? He has a time for a lot of practice. Trying to make light of the situation quite play off very well. And now he's throwing away the only friend that he would have. But in that moment... But he never did. Yeah, after being throttled and whatnot, and I think it's a lost cause. The thing is... Yeah, I was about to say... It's a step more than he ever managed. That thing of self-reflection. Just start again. It's a lot harder than it seems, but I do like it. It's one way of dealing with a situation. This is the reunion it should have been. Is that what he's been hoping for the years of searching? A stunned silence, an inability to comprehend. And hopefully that finding Rudy now is going to give him more of a light back into his eyes. If you see it from Paul's perspective, he's probably felt like he's failed them all for all this time. Now he's only failed some of them. It's good to see them just laughing and enjoying the time, but is Eris... I think she kept struggling. She kept struggling. Is she going to be able to forgive him? But family is complicated. Family's family. And for Ruijard to reunite a father and son there, that must feel good for him. He has a direction. It means taking a diversion, not getting her home. Let's not mention one of them. You know, they made it this far. Don't give up on everyone else. Be prepared for the worst. You can't be disappointed. I mean, as they are currently relatively secure and safe, they know that much. The risk of not helping anyone else that could have benefited from it. He might have made up with Paul, but yeah. No, it's not going to be that simple. Okay. It's being pinned to the floor and beaten a few times. That's something that Paul can get over easily. Hey, he's... So he's helping in his own little way. After seeing Paul take such a recovery, it would spur anyone on. You have a new spur into action. Who or what they would come across next, and in what state. But Rudy overcoming part of the past, seeing the similarities of it all, and putting aside one's pride to maybe even not admit wrongdoing, but just to try and clear the air, is an incredibly difficult thing to accomplish. But Rudy having that past, seeing what happens when you let it go too far, don't try and fix anything. Kind of like Paul when Geese was talking to him, when he had his school friend round, everything he said was taken as some sort of directed insult, or it was understood in the most negative light possible. And when you're in that mindset and already spiraling down, it can be incredibly difficult to see another point of view. So yeah, until someone takes a step back, and let's start again, let's have our fated reunion once more. But much like Eris, Norn is going to take a while to come around to the idea, what you've made up. Even so, there's still the initial first impression wasn't the greatest. But the idea that, the entire area was just obliterated like that. Not just people vanishing, but razed to the ground. It looked like every form of life in the area was taken away. Every blade of grass. And you could say that after a year and a half, how have people not heard the hide or hair of someone? But considering they could have been transplaced pretty much anywhere, hopefully not into the middle of the ocean, I think I stated that one before, there's very little chance that someone could be easily identified, found and returned. Like with Rudy going to the middle of the demon continent and nowhere. What about people put into mountains? Can they be put underground? Put into dense forests? Swamp biomes? But just, I think I mentioned it, or started to earlier, but just to think, Paul has been searching for any sign of any of them for all this time. Putting a note out to Rudy, thinking, Rudy's Rudy, he should be able to handle himself. Still not actually knowing if he is safe or not. Finding others in all sorts of states of disrepair. Some say that no news is good news. But when people are missing, there is a time limit on that. Hopefully going forward we'll have some more closure going forward. Whether that's good or not, yet to be seen, but for now, I'll be waiting for the next episode. Hopefully you will too. If you enjoyed this one, let me know. Leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel, share it with friends and family. But most importantly, get yourselves a bit of rest. Join me again for the next one. Without actually spending the time, we don't really know what everyone is actually going through. And so if you would want a metaphorical warm hug after a long struggle, consider joining onto my Patreon, because although physical contact is not something that I am willing to give, there's a lot of enjoyment that can be had from watching more anime. So to the likes of Electric Ant, Noku, Raywin, Kite, Sao, Shuan, Mats, Gurley, Cardboard, Croyville, Ginterman, Jennifer Rojas, Steve Firo, Alvin Garsan, Moahad, Fender of Segs, Dark Shadow 7899, Jeremiah Tima, and everyone else. If you ever find yourself lost, you're always welcome to waste time here.